Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
You have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Dig Talk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
We President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyannema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Dig Talk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugende mu maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop and smart TVs as we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Dig Talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to the Mighty Drive. This segment of today, the date today is 14th of December. We are reaching halfway to the end of this year. I mean halfway of this month, and definitely ending this year. I welcome you all. I hope you're so excited about the new year, and I hope that you've achieved that which you were set to achieve this year as it was beginning. I know as every year begins, we all make resolutions and we want to stand up to them, you know. We have goals, every one of us has goals, and we want to achieve those as we traverse this world. And you know, we want to be successful. You need money, and as the year begins, you say, I am going to do ABCD, I need to save this kind of amount of money, so that at least by the end of the year, I have a certain amount of money in my bank account. So I hope you've achieved that. If you have not, at least I believe that you achieved a considerably good amount of that, or at least close to average of the amount you set. But other than that, the new year is coming, we can try again. And let's try to do better this time. I am here. My name is Roger Studihawe. I'm doing the updates today. My brother, Edgar Matthew Karhanga, is having a few issues with his health, but he'll be all right. He'll be standing, he'll be walking soon. And he'll definitely be here tomorrow, and you'll see him. He'll be just serving you as much as usual. I want to give you a little bit of an update of what is happening around Uganda and what is happening around the world generally. To begin on a sad note, you know, police announced the death of a bride one day after the wedding, who was probably going for a honeymoon, but it was pinned on the fact that she had been fasting while also on periods. Of course, there was a serious complication. She went to the hospital. They told her about some stuff called IUD, I'm not a doctor, I can't go into the nitty-gritties, but yes, they went and those operations were not successful, and unfortunately it passed. I think that's on a sad note to begin with, and it happened here on Uganda. It was in Kampala, the wedding happened at Sheraton, but unfortunately she wasn't able to make it through from the hospital. So yeah, that's from a sad note. In other news, Ghana decides airlines to be fined $3,500 each of the passengers they carry that are not vaccinated, COVID vaccinated. So that means that every person, if a passenger comes through an airline and goes to Ghana, and that passenger is not vaccinated, the airline, not the passenger, the airline is going to be fined $3,500. So I think the whole idea is that all the people that should be coming from abroad should be vaccinated. The whole the reason for doing this is so that they can fight the variant, the Omicron variant that is going around, because actually Britain announced the first death of the Omicron variant, and it was confirmed by their Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. So as this variant is spreading across the world and as it affects a lot of people, of course they mentioned that it travels faster, way faster than the other variants that had been here before. This particular country is saying that if you are a foreigner and you're coming to Ghana, you should be vaccinated. If you are not, the airline is going to be paying that fine on behalf of that person. Of course, Ghana as one has not, it has not had all its people vaccinated. Ghana has a population of 30 million people, but about 10% of those are only vaccinated. So the whole drive is so that the country adheres to the call to be vaccinated. This ban is majorly for the foreigners who are not Ghanaians, who are coming from outside countries. But the same applies for the people who are Ghanaians, who are citizens of Ghana, but are living abroad. When they are coming, for them they gave them an extension of 2 weeks so that in the 2 weeks period, someone should have been vaccinated. I don't think they can get both jabs, but the whole drive is so that people can actually get vaccinated. So there's no going to Ghana unless you are actually vaccinated. Other than that, of course, the airlines won't be able to take you. I mean, even if it's my business, I can't take you and be fined. I don't know how really patriotic I would be to do that. So that is what is coming up from that side. And that ban is actually taking effect today. So for those foreigners who are not Ghanaians by nationality, it's taking effect today, Tuesday. For those Ghanaians who are living abroad and they are coming back, it is taking effect in 2 weeks period. Yes, that is the news that are coming from that side of Africa. And in other news also, DR Congo President, Mr. Tshisekedi, reassured their citizens that Uganda's UPDF is only there for a period of time because, the Uganda appearance in the Eastern Congo, the fighting of the ADF, that whole issue. Of course, the citizens were, accusing UPDF of looting as usual, of course, and human rights abuse, as it has always happened. It has also happened before. We have had these allegations that every time Uganda had been in the DRC, there had been a mass looting and a number of human rights violations. So the citizens of Eastern Congo had been raising the same issues to the president and the leadership of Congo, that the UPDF, for as long as it stays there, it actually, loots their properties and it destabilizes their peace and security. So the president reassured people and said that they are only there for as long as the operation can guarantee, and they will be out as soon as that operation is done. Of course, the UPDF also said that they are there as long as the operation will take. So this, the president of DRC says they are going to be out immediately very soon, and then the UPDF says we are only there for as long as the ADF is actually, pushed out of Congo. So if the operation takes a year, UPDF is saying we are there for a year. But the president of the DRC says they are going to be out very soon. So I hope that these two actually understand what their contradictions are. I think that is basically what is happening. Other than that, just to re-echo that in Formula One, I'm a fan of Formula One. Lewis Hamilton, 7 times champion, lost to Max Verstappen, a Dutchman, the first one at that, to be able to win that. And that's as far as sports is concerned. I'm not so much into sports. For Premier League, of course, Edgar Matthew will be able to give you updates soon. He'll give you what will have happened, except for as far as I know, today United has, I think, Brentford. They are playing at 10 p.m. So let's wait for that. For the money funds, I hope you'll be able to enjoy, and I hope you win this one. Michael Carrick is proving to do magic. I don't know what Ole was not getting exactly. So that is what is happening. We are going to go in for a short commercial break. We have a guest who's going to be talking about job success, jobpreneurship for young people who are out there, unemployed people. How do we go about the job searching? What should we look out for? If, for example, you're forming a CV, you're looking for a job, what exactly do you need? What skills do you also need to survive? Because nowadays it's not about qualifications you got from school. It's not about I went to school and I did, business administration so I can administer business. They'll ask you, you do not have a business. How do you know how to administer business? So it's going to be telling us what is going on, and then maybe, of course, we'll talk about unemployment rate. How can we go about that? Of course, we have a country, Uganda, whose unemployment rate is between 64 and 70%. That's the number of Ugandans that are actually unemployed. So we're going to be talking about unemployment and what we can do. We shall also talk about this SMEs, the small and medium enterprises. Why don't they actually survive? Most of them, they don't survive their first anniversary. Why is that, and what can actually government do? What can we also do so as to make it possible for those SMEs to actually survive longer than that? So yes, we are going to have a gentleman. He's called Ssenyonjo Andrew. He's going to be here with my colleague Farida Bikobere, the Princess of Bunyoro at that. I think she has mentioned that, and she's looking particularly beautiful today. So we're going to go in for a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll come with Farida and the guest. Good morning.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
Nze omubejja luwedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano tugenda okuba nga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage gaba amasannyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu eby'enjawulo omwo nno mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga, ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga Uganda, twogera ku nsonga ez'abavubuka, eddembe ly'obuntu awamu n'ebyenkulaakulana. Togisubwa buli lunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'akawungeezi paka ssaawa 3 ez'ekiro.
The Diaspora Link buli lwakuna ssaawa 11 paka ssaawa 1 ey'olweggulo ye program gye tukuleetedde wano ku Alternative Digital Uganda. Tugenda batutunulira embeera z'Abannayuganda, baganda baffe, bannyinaffe zibawangaaliramu mu mawanga ag'ebunaayira. Bangi banyigirizibwa, bangi bakosebwa, bangi bayisiddwamu amaaso. Naye tugenda batutunulira engeri gye tusobola okulongosaamu embeera zaabwe. Tugenda kuba tulaba abo abakwatibwako abateekeddwa okuba nga balongoosa embeera zino eno. Tosubwa buli lwakuna n'omuweerezaawo Nixon Segawa.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdulatif and I welcome you to the Hotline Show here at the Alternative Dig Talk as we discuss issues of national importance. Join us every Monday 7 to 9 p.m. and see who will be occupying these seats here with us. Keep it Dig Talk, real issues, real talk.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
is the 14th day of December, the year 2021. A very good morning to you all that are watching us. It is a bright morning here at the TikTok house. I have Rogers Rehave in the studios and Mr. Ssenyonjo Andrew, and I am Farida. We will be taking you through up to 9 a.m. Njagala okubaniriza bamikwano gyange abooluganda nti muli ku Mighty Drive. Ebeerayo everyday essaawa ebeeremu ey'okumakya paka ssaawa 3. Njagala okubanyiriza mugende ku page yaffe ya The Alternative Uganda on Facebook, mubeereko comment, engage in the discussion, buuza ekibuuzo kyo because no discussion y'olwaleero ya ffenna tugenda kuyiga gwe ali employed, most especially biki byolina, how do you count your success, ofuna fati salary ngolowooza you are successful. Munnange nno beerako tulina omuntu eyakuguka, he's a consultant, ye atera nnyo gamba nyumirwa nnyo ekigambo jobpreneurship, obeera ku mulimo okwo nga naye olina ebirala by'okolakola, totunuulira nnyo success eno bosi wakwongeza akasaala, manya bakuwaddeyo bwalaawe, byonna byonna nno tugenda kubanga tubyogera, tugenda kubanga tubinyumyamu, amanyi abadde anyumizaamu off camera nga ngamba mumanyi okuwuddisa abantu mbu you are part of us, muno employee is part of the company, engamba bwotyo bwosazeewo okwonoona abantu, byonna byonna tugenda kubanga ate tubyogerako wano naye, naye ng'ate njagala nkuweeyo kakooti k'olunaku lwakubiri December tugitambuddeko. As Rogers was giving his updates, one update caught my mind and I will want him to elaborate it for me. A bride who just died.
Yeah.
I do not care about Ghana because I am vaccinated. If I want to go, I will just go.
The only reason you would care about Ghana is because the policy they're introducing would be good for Uganda. So for advocacy purposes, you would actually care about that.
No, you see Ugandans basalawo kubeera okusalawo ebintu ebimu babireke. For as long as kibakwate because vaccination is free. Tebalina tusasuzaako sente. Nze I'm vaccinated. If I want to go to Ghana, I will just get my passport and go.
Right. I cannot. I haven't had.
So what happened to this bride? It involves IUD. What? And I didn't get the whole story, so I wanted to get.
Yeah, IUD. They married like today at Sheraton actually, and then like the next day she developed complications. So apparently she had been fasting. And she was also, I think, in periods or something like that. So she got some complications. They took her to some hospital in Wokoto. And the operation that would save her, they said wasn't, like they wasn't recommending it because of the period she was in. So by the time they probably changed their mind to just do it for the sake, just she did not handle it. She did not handle it, and unfortunately she passed. So a day after the wedding, the bride passed. Yeah.
So why was she fasting? To make sure her wedding is a success?
Probably, it was her best time, and she was probably praying.
You see, that's why I love my religion. You see, in our religion, you are not allowed to fast if you are in your periods.
I think that should be a health issue generally.
Yeah, you can't. It's just you are not allowed to fast if you are in your periods. Actually, even for women, you do not go to the mosque if you are in your periods.
Hey,
yeah, you do not.
That's discriminatory.
No, it's not.
Why? Shouldn't I
pray to God? You are considered unclean.
We used to,
among religions, Muslims are really clean people. I am not bragging. It is a
You're
fact.
Not bragging. You are blackmailing.
I am just stating a fact.
in the Old Testament, back when we were doing divinity.
You will tell me after the show. Good morning, Rogers.
Good morning.
With all the pleasure, could you please welcome our guest?
Yeah, a very good morning again. It's Mr. Andrew Ssenyonjo. We are so pleased to have you today. Okay. We have a number of young people who watch particularly this show and Alternative Digital as a whole, because the future is digital, and we are here providing the solution. But also those young people are there looking for solutions for what is happening. The number of young people are actually unemployed. They want to know how do we go about that. And those who are employed, some of us have had this issue of you live worse. And you should save for the future. So maybe we would love you to highlight on the fact that as we are young people, how better can we live successfully to make sure that, in future, of course, we're going to have families. How should we prepare for them?
Yeah, yes.
How better can we live responsible lives as far as job success is concerned, so that in the future, other people, can actually depend on us. So you're welcome today. Just a little bit of an introduction, maybe what you do. If I left anything out, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
my name is Andrew Ssenyonjo, a job success tutor. Tutor can be seen in many ways.
Job success teacher. A tutor is more or less, is
more or less
a
teacher,
yes.
But the difference is their audience. They usually handle smaller groups and go in depth of what they are trying to teach. Look at it as a tutorial. Tutorials give us an in-depth of what something does. So I like to teach deep, especially about job success. And I also agree that many people may not feel they need to listen to a job success tutor because, well, you deal with your boss every day. I don't know who your boss is, and you know them better, you feel you understand them.
Yes.
But think about it this way. There was a time when we all were farmers to some extent. You throw seeds in the soil and they grow. But eventually we started to do it intentionally. You don't just plant anything. You select your seed, you select the methods of farming. So it then became a different type of art of farming. So it's also job successes like that. All of us deal with our employers every day. We know them, we understand them, but then we can learn a few things and then we can do jobs more intentionally. So that's what job success is about. So I am a teacher by profession.
Okay.
So that provides my foundation of what I do.
I realize now why it was easy to connect with Farida.
Rogers.
Okay. No offense.
She's a teacher?
Sorry, yeah, she's a teacher also.
By the way, I'm a proud teacher of literature and English, though I am not practicing.
I love literature. I did literature, so she's my teacher.
I have so far taken teaching as something foundational that should actually be empowering us to teach many other things.
So what courses do you do to become a success tutor?
Do you
just go on Google and get this information and then start sharing it to other people, or there's particular courses that someone has to do?
I have been saying that teaching has been seen as something that leads you to a school. But I want to see it as something that gives you a foundational skill on which you can use to teach anything. As long as you're interested in a subject, teaching becomes your foundation, because as teachers we break difficult things into simpler, consumable ideas, which is not easy for everyone. So having a foundation, I got interested in job success. It came over time. I didn't really develop this overnight as a theme, but in 2016, there was an incident where I worked, and so far I had lost 3 jobs. So I was in this organization, and the organization was headed by a friend of mine, which I think up to today was something that was important for me to look at the organization differently. Because when the organization developed challenges, it is normal for everyone to feel aggrieved and unfairness when your salary has not been paid, there's financial challenges of the company. But in that scenario, as I said, I was lucky that the owner was a friend outside the organization. I want to emphasize outside the organization. I looked at it from his point of view and told myself, you know what, I think our role here is to help this organization go back on course. I think if he wasn't a friend of mine, I would have thought differently. So
you would just decide to leave.
So I feel that was an important aspect in what has led to developing this idea of entrepreneurship. So when I decided to see things from his side and took over the responsibility of saying, let's save this organization because all of us are feeding from it. I decided to make sure that every morning when I arrive, I ask him for what is it that you need me to do today, regardless of my other responsibilities that I had, because I knew he knew where the pain was at that point. And it took me like 2 weeks, and then I realized that I was, you would call it an inner circle. Somebody shares with you things that are above your level of work, and then you realize that, well, even though your title has not changed, you're no longer just a manager, because I was creative manager. You know, just you have been elevated even though the title does not say it. So I asked myself, remember I had lost 3 jobs. So I asked myself, what is it that I have done differently in these 2 weeks that has given me this admiration from my boss? And from there I started to really broaden that kind of thinking of, I am here to build the organization, and so I should see my job as a business. So that's where the title, not just an employee, comes from. Because if I was a typical employee, I would probably be hitting and demanding for my rights and demanding for my salary, but then just changing it to, let's build this organization, like changed how my employer saw me. So that is a brief of how I started on this journey that has now run for quite like 6 years or more.
So through the story, you have just developed this this urge to tell people not to just be employees at work, and then through your experience, you have become a success tutor. You didn't do any particular course to be that.
I didn't do any particular course. Actually, I didn't find any course.
You say, Rogers, what they say that teachers can do anything.
Lawyers can do anything.
To
mention, I am
this
a
is
lawyer.
not a professional battle, Mr. Lawyer.
You made it a professional battle.
So that's why I say it's a foundation. It's a foundation. You can teach the mathematics I did, or chemistry, or you can.
Only teacher science.
Yeah.
So you can.
So ologenda. Yes sir. So osobola okusoma obusomesa naye ne weesanga ng'ekikuli ku mutima kyoyagala okusomesa kirala
nnyo.
Kati bwe waba nga tewali kyosobola kukola ku yunivasite n'osalawo ggwe nga ggwe okuteekamu obudde n'okiyiga n'okinnyonnyoka ne weebuuza ebibuuzo abo abantu b'olowooza b'oyagala okusomesa bye beebuuza n'obyeddamu n'obeera nga ggwe go-to person mu topic eyo. So eventually people will ask you for a title, and I think I fought with the HR title so much because I felt HR was not me. You can categorize me like that, but not entirely. HR is more technical than what I'm actually doing. This is more of perspective, changing mindset and thinking about things differently. So, bwebwo obusomesa.
Okyasomesa?
Si kati nsomesa.
Eno mu bibiina eno kwata textbook kugenda mu class.
Anti kati bino bya mmira naye bwonkwasa ennoni nzirayo mu kirasi nensomesa lesson namba.
Chemistry.
Mathematics. Oyo ndi musaayi.
Mr. Ssenyonjo is the founder of Ignite Potential. Could you please give us a glimpse of Ignite Potential, what it does and where it is found and all that kind of stuff?
So Ignite Potential really came as an umbrella for this idea. So it's the idea that came first.
So you wanted the idea to have a home.
To have a home, to have something that other organizations can relate to. Otherwise, if you're just having simply an idea, saying, okay, which organization is that?
No, it is
when
in my
were you
briefcase.
registered? So how can you trust somebody who is just an individual?
Yes.
Something like that. So it is attached to the idea. It was registered for that, to ignite potential, to look at a matchbox or a matchstick. As soon as you light a matchstick and set it on dry paper, the fire will become much more. And there are many of us who probably just need igniting. Yeah. And the rest is up to you. As long as I can share with you deep insights, the rest you can run with the idea and figure it out. So we ignite.
So the ignite potential, is it also in the perspective of the employer-employee, or it's now in the direction of job making? You're here, you have a skill, you have an idea, I want to grow it, I want to develop it. I feel there's a type of innovation I feel that is going to either help my community or me as an individual. And I think it can really make a difference. So are you in the direction of, I am, igniting that potential in you to realize your creativity, to be able to innovate the kind of ideas that are going to help communities? Or are you looking at employer and employee job success?
Like I said, Ignite Potential as a name represents a wider perspective on potential. But I want to inspire the way we ignite potential that is based on in-depth insights, something that goes deeper, something that is related to teaching deep, like giving people the reason to, the reason why. So it is broader, but right now we are focusing on the potential that is in the employer and employee relationship that hasn't been exploited.
Yeah.
So you figure out that employers and employees have grievances.
Yeah, that's right.
You speak to employees, they are complaining.
When
you speak to their employer, he's also not satisfied.
Now that is almost in every workplace.
So that relationship has a lot of, and when a relationship is strained, even a husband and wife's relationship, if it is strained, the home suffers.
Yeah, that's right.
So what if we can figure out how to strengthen this relationship of the employer and employee, and figure out, okay, their interests are opposite, but then we can find ideas on that bring these interests home, so that everyone can meet what they are actually looking for without being unfair
to each other.
Because realistically, there isn't enough money, or enough salary, if I can say it like that. And that's why I'm saying realistically, where you can say, I think
I earn enough.
Not enough. That word enough it shouldn't be used. At least I am being remunerated fairly. I think fairly is also relative. So it's, as we explore this strengthening, we are looking at both sides and figuring out how can these work together. Look at a normal market where we have customers and sellers. All of them have totally different interests. Yes. As a customer, I want to buy at a lower price. As a seller, you want better maximize profit. Yes. So how has that market been able to live, accommodate each other? So you see that these same ideas can work for this relationship, and that's why we are pushing entrepreneurship.
Okay. So apart from this story of your friend and the company that was really, really going down, is there anything that inspired you to become a success tutor?
Not really. I think that was the trigger.
That was the spark.
The spark. I was really pursuing, I thought I wanted to write, but I didn't know that I really wanted to write about this.
So you by the way, he is an author of You Are Not Just an Employee. I have a copy, just if you want one.
Yeah, I would love to.
So you can go out there and look out for his book, and if you are an employee, or even if you are an employer.
I think a lot of us actually need that, because you see, in Africa particularly, most of the young people are employed. They are not self-employed. They are employed. There are people who go to workplaces, who work this kind of hours, who sign contracts. So they would really have to read that kind of book, because I need to know what I should be doing to be a good employee. You know, it is also good to be in a workplace and you're in a good relation with your employer, because then it also increases your productivity. And in the end run, of course, the company as a whole thrives.
You also benefit and the company benefits. But
there have been issues around that term, good
but
employee.
How
How
do we define a good employee?
Okay, actually that should be a good question.
How do we define
Who is
a good employee?
Because we need to go deeper into what is actually preventing people from giving their all in organizations.
From being good employees or being so could we say that a good employee has given their best to the company?
What the employee won't tell you is that being an employee has largely been seen as slavery.
Yeah, relatively.
Whether it is true or not, if people believe it, then it won't
that's
work.
also subjective.
Yes, it is subjective.
Yes.
And that's why we often want to go deeper into it, to analyze it and see, is this a true allegation or assertion? So people believe that employment is slavery. And when you say being a good employee, you're as well saying being a good slave.
Can you be a good slave?
That's why I say
you can.
that term has sentiments around it, and I call them sentiments, feelings that may not be rooted in say real meaning of the word slave, but if people have sentiments around, they are going to act based on it.
That's right.
So if I am here and I'm saying this is what you need to do to be a good employee, and somebody believes that employment is slavery, I am actually saying this is how to be a slave to your brother, a good slave, and these are the tactics to be, and yet people do not want to
be termed
as. So,
but if you are an employee, seriously, and you are thinking you are a slave, why are you still there?
But
because people don't have anything
because this
to
is slavery that you are not tied there. You
why
have free. Yeah, why are you there?
Because people say they don't have any alternative.
So that is when it does not become a slave.
Yeah,
because then you have a choice.
Because you took yourself there.
You have a choice to not be.
But practically, the reason why I say you're not just an employee and pushing entrepreneurship is to remind people that employment today gives you a lot of choices.
Yes.
Which being a slave doesn't. In practical sense, a slave, you don't even own yourself. You're more like a tool, more like a phone, more like something they use. You just serve the needs of your master, or your master's needs come first.
Yes.
So in case you have to choose something, you choose your master's over yours. And yet, and the other thing about a slave is you don't have permission to leave. And I have to use a tool like a phone. If your phone woke up and told you it is working out on you, what would you do? You say, you're my phone.
I bought my phone. I
bought you. You're my property. You can't. So that is the image in which a slave is, your property. So today, an employee, even though the way they work may feel like you don't have any alternatives, but you're not a slave. And until we have unlocked that part of our belief system, we may not achieve much using our skills or knowledge in employment.
So generally, okay, you don't want to say what makes a good employee, but for someone out there, even for the employer, they want to know what they can do to be good employers. Because being a good employer also means that your employees are going to be productive. Your company is going to thrive. So an employer would love to know someone who's watching us, who is probably fighting with the company, like your friend, who is trying to put it on its feet. And it's, you know, it's a struggle, it's a tide, they are beating against waves. How better, what can they do? What should be the basics of making the employment, the working environment that friendly for both the employer and the employee?
Allow me to lay a foundation for that, because I believe once we lay a good foundation, then anybody can use that foundation for their specific organization, as I believe that organizations are different. When I say you're not just an employee, people always ask, then who am I? I thought I'm an employee, so if you're telling me I'm not just an employee, who am I? And the answer is simple, you are a service provider.
In law, we have that thing, contract of service, contracts for service. I don't want to go back to law. First, go ahead.
You see, Rogers, it was important for you to tell her to bring us here law courts.
No, it is, okay, sorry.
I know some of these things cannot thrive without the legal understanding around them. So the legal arm is what people use to judge, is what I'm doing right? If I say this, if I push this system, is it legal? But I believe that as an employer, I'm a service provider. I'm providing you a service as an organization.
Yes.
I know we have known service providers as people who are external, who
for once
they have a short-term contract or they have a retainer and we are working with, but they are not internal, they are not using our tools, they are totally out. But when you look at a service in what a service is, you hire me when you have a challenge, okay, that you want me to solve. And for the organization, this challenge requires solving every day. So you need me around every day. So you give me a contract.
What if I hire you when I don't have a challenge, but I have a goal that I want us to achieve?
I don't think there's anybody who is hired. You may not think it is a challenge.
It may not necessarily be a challenge, but
there is
it
a gap.
might be a dream that we want to achieve together.
There is a gap.
Yes.
There is a gap in which this person fits.
Exactly.
So it is a challenge.
I want to agree with you to some extent. Because ordinarily someone is hired because there's an objective that the organization wants to reach. And reaching that objective needs an input of your specific skill set. So that means there is a challenge that needs your skill to be filled in that gap.
An organization does not just hire anybody. Otherwise, we would have people who are around. It hires because there is a gap. And if that gap doesn't exist, it won't hire.
It won't hire you.
No matter how qualified. So when you look at a service is...
Mr. Ssenyonjo, mbadde nsaba ontabikiremu ku Luganda banatera okungamba oluzungu lususse.
Okay. Omukozi simanyi service oba nakyo naye service kakyafu
service bwe buweereza
naye si buweereza buno
obwa mukyaki
oba omukyaki
ministry
si buweereza buno bw'omukyaki nti nzija service eno tetugikwatako teringa bali abalala batunda tangible products service eno tuziba okukwatako naye oyo gwogiwa yategeera nti I'm getting value kino ekintu nsobola okukisasulira kati service abantu abasinga kye babadde tebamanyi nti ejja mu ngeri bbiri bwe mba nkuyambye okukola ekintu bw'ompa omulimu oba n'ompita okuyambako okukola ekintu ekisooka kyotalina budde kukola sinti tomanyi kikola naye tolina budde bwa kikola bankuwa service bankuyambako ku kintu kyo gwe kyolinako obuvunaanyizibwa oba ekintu kyotalina experience oba technical skill to do kikyo it is your responsibility naye nzija nompa permission okikolera kubanga nze developinze skill era bwe sikikola kiddira gwe so bw'oyita omuntu okuyambako mu biti ebyo ebibiri oba omuyise okuwa service kubanga buvunaanyizibwa
abafuuse service provider si employee
so bw'otunuulira ekitongole nsobola okugamba nti guno omulimu gwo naye bw'otagukola I'm the one to blame as a boss bw'otagukola era nze nja okwetooloola nze ojja okusula nga siteredde olw'okuba nga siina muntu akola kubanga obuvunaanyizibwa mba sigulinamu technical expertise era buvunaanyizibwa bwange
you can feel there is a gap
so bwe ndeeta omuntu ogukola ali mu kunnyamba mu buvunaanyizibwa bwange so is offering me a service so bw'otunuulira emirimu gyonna gye tukola mu organizations gigwa mu miti ebyo ebibiri either ekintu kyokola boosi batasobola kikola oba kyokola talina budde bukikola n'agamba kino sikyalina budde bukikola kati kanfune omuntu anyambeko so omuntu oyo akuyambako nga bw'okyogedde ali mu kukuyambako okukola omulimu so kyova olaba nti tugamba nti ono service provider naawe ku side y'employee okumanya nti bwe mba mpa service kiki kyennyini ono kyasasulira kubanga teri muntu akusasula nga talina vali lyafuna naye kati bw'oba tomanyi kiki ekyo kyasasulira tosobola kiimproving bw'oba olina by'otunda tugeze nga biri mu packaging nga nawe tobimanyi kikiri munda tolina ngeri gy'obitundamu tolina ngeri gy'obiimproving so selling a services in entrepreneurship will help people go in depth to understand what is it that you're actually hired for. You may think it is the job description describes it, but many of the job descriptions don't even work, are not even consulted.
Actually, tetukola ne job description byetugamba.
They are not even consulted throughout the contract.
And sometimes even job description is not even aligned to what someone is required to do.
So then you're there, you're working, but the job that was described is not what you're doing, but then people are, the organization is paying you month in, month out, and then you don't ask yourself, but what exactly, why are they paying me? Why do they need me?
Paying me for?
And you don't go in depth to understand why you're actually like being paid. Look at any other business. If you understand why people are buying what you're selling, okay? Yeah. If you understand why people are buying rice during a COVID lockdown and not matoke, and you understand why, you understand their motivations, their beliefs and why, then you can stock more rice than
Irish.
But people are there, they show up, they are saying, for me, I know, I have this target and this target, but why exactly? And most of the biggest challenges employers have with employees is not what they do, but how they do it.
That's right.
So because the employee has not understand under which motivation, under which spirit, under which mindset should I be doing this job, under which drive, okay? And so we take an in-depth analysis to help people understand what is it that you're selling to this organization. So that when you go, you focus on that actually is being paid for. And many people have always realized that it is not written anywhere in the job description.
Yeah.
And therefore, as we teach entrepreneurship, we are also helping the employer, because the employer self-diagnoses. When I was talking to a healthy personnel and said the challenge today, people are self-diagnosing and they're buying Panadol for sicknesses they think they have, but the problem is deeper than that. Yeah. So see that when an employer self-diagnoses and said, I need somebody to do A, B, C, D and describes the job, not the problem. they describe the job.
Because that is the gap they are feeling. So.
Yes, it is one way to feel I have a headache. Okay? And then you go to the doctor and you say, you know
I
what?
either choose to buy diclofenac or Panadol Extra.
So this is what happens. You have a headache, okay? I am the employer, yes, say I'm the patient. I employ a doctor, okay? I make the doctor's skills work because I'm a patient. So I have a headache. And so I go to the hospital, and instead of describing my problem,
I come with the solution.
I describe the job the doctor is supposed to be doing. And I say, you know what? I want you to, first of all, take my blood. I want you to also give me this. You also describe the medicine. And sometimes you can get it wrong because you're not technical, you're not skilled, you're not. And sometimes you may not know the root cause.
No, because at times I will say, normally when I get a headache, I take a Panadol. When I do diclofenac, it gives me heartburn and all that kind of stuff. I'm giving you information such that you know what to do with me.
But the problem is you come with the solution.
You come with the solution. Learning how to describe your pain, your challenge. This is what I'm suffering. It started when, this is where it is paining me from. And then the doctor, from their expertise, they start to say, I think let's look at this, let's look at this, let's look at this. And so that's where job descriptions have missed the point. You describe your pain, you describe your disease, and the person comes, gets the job, they realize this is not even close.
So what exactly you're meaning is employers should be getting experts to come and do for them the job descriptions? And
where we start from is to help the employee understand what it is that they are actually solving for the employer.
No, because me, when I'm employed, nsanga bankolede contract, mu contract mulimu job, my responsibilities as an employee, bichi bye nina okola, bichi bye sina kola.
The lawyer will tell you that is the process.
So I think China kutandikira wa employer. Mugambe, okay, you are looking for maybe a technical expert or kola chino. This should be their work scope. Like by na kola bino nebino. Because if you tell me as an employee, oja kola ebintu kama obyata kugamba bakugoberi.
Okay. I think we need to understand that an employee works within a framework.
Yes.
Yes. And that's why when I am sharing this, I'm not like, it's not as broad as the service provider who is the consultant, who is paying their own taxes.
A contractor.
Or, yes. I'm talking about a mindset. A mindset.
A mindset change.
Because, you know, not knowing what you're actually selling to the organization
is bad.
It's bad, it's fatal. Some people will wake up very early and leave late. And they don't even know when things started to get south, when they are given a warning letter. And they work hard.
And
they feel they work hard.
It's because your service is not being felt, like it's not bringing results.
Maybe you're selling the wrong thing. You're selling the wrong thing.
And sometimes it's also possible that you're selling the wrong thing, but chances are that an employer is going to call you. We want someone who is experienced in ABCD. When you get there, probably they also misdiagnosed. So there's a better way of doing it. So you are also doing what they called you to do.
Yes.
But it's not the solution of the problem
they don't have a way of telling you this is not it, because then there is a legal perspective to it. If I tell this employer that this is not, then
you're breaching their contract.
Then what do I do as an employer? What you're doing is not actually helping me solve my problem. And yet I gave you a job description. I was speaking to, I think, in an organization, and I asked the employees, if you decided to do to the letter everything that in your job description, to the letter, no addition, no subtraction, who will have their job in the next 6 months? And everybody nodded.
Neither.
And yet, a job description is like the first place of us measuring whether I am actually doing better or not. Now, if the job has not been entirely described well, then how can I measure how I am performing?
So basically what you're saying is this, that instead of having job description, we should have problem statements.
Exactly.
That an employer is going to want to put out a call of application, but they're saying that we have a problem of A, B, C, D, and we need someone who's skilled in that kind of thing.
Roger, you see Ugandans are not thinkers. So you state your problem and you expect people to come up with solutions.
Yeah, sure, they need the jobs.
Well, that would be an interesting, and I know an organization, I know he might even watch this program later, that is already on the journey for this, because the traditional way of management and describe the job and is not working for organizations today, and there is a reason why. You know, we are in the 21st century.
That's right.
Most of the things that this job description, let me describe your job, worked when your job cannot change or the results of your job do not change.
Yes.
For example, if you're hired to make maybe a shoe, it's the same process that produces the same.
Sure.
So it's very easy to describe that job. I want you to lift this, put it here, screw this here, then make this do like this. So, that process is very, because it produces the same
result,
the same product, mass production. So this description of jobs today, where your results are, like we were speaking before this program, I'm writing a proposal, but the result is not writing the proposal. It is actually making sure that the person we are writing the proposal to
gives us business.
So your job there is influence, persuasion. And there isn't one tactic to persuasion. So if you describe my job, you assume that once I do this A, B, C, D, then
we shall get a lot of
we shall always get people persuaded, which doesn't work. So then the power of the method that I need to use to get the result ceases to be in what you're describing in a rigid document like a job description. And then the skill comes into the individual who is doing the job. I should be the one who is engaging my mind, what I have learned, my exposure, my skills, my knowledge, to make sure that I develop.
But I think this job description doesn't really limit people from being creative, doesn't limit people to what tools you should be using at your workplace. Or you see, we are just giving you roles. It is upon you to find ways of how
making it happen, yes.
Exactly.
Of fulfilling the description, the needs that are in the description. Before you answer that, we are going to go in for a very short commercial break. When we come back, you'll begin from exactly that. Is it possible that in the job description, you know, the employer is actually not looking at the problem as it is? And so, the employer, they are going to do some other kind of work, and eventually they are going to be fired because they are not producing the desired results.
Exactly.
And we are going to go in for a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about that and maybe a little bit of the unemployment. Is it possible that because people don't have skills, don't we get skills in schools nowadays, that someone graduates and they don't have skills provided in the work and employment world? Yeah, that and more we shall be discussing in the second hour. Let's go for a short commercial break.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Jembadde itaita nsanze abasajja nga bagamba lwaki abala batukuula Farida lwaki mukuula abasajja
omusajja baba tebamukudde asanyuka busanyusi n'akuwa ssente kati bw'alaba nga tafunye kyayagala n'alowooza mbu wamukudde aba yazikuwadde oba tewamukudde.
Okay, Lydian, lwaki mwagala abasajja abakulu?
Nabo batwagala naye fetubagala lwakuba nti batutegekera future.
Okay, tutegekera future. What you say? For more insightful topics, yes, keep it the Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk. Remember, Snap Talk airs every Saturday, right from 6 to 7, with your girl Tetukulakulana. But I never come alone. I come with the two beautiful girls. Meanwhile, we have a new home. I'm super excited. What do you think of our new home, Farida?
I love it.
Lydian?
I just love everything.
Yes, let's keep it the Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
You're very, very welcome to the second hour of the Mighty Drive. Like I said, today is 14th of December. I hope that your goals that were set for this year are at least averagely achieved. We are here today talking about the success. It also, I think success also includes planning. You know, as an employer or as an employee, you also plan and know what you should be achieving in what period of time. So I hope that you have achieved, or if you have not, here we are to understand how better we can be doing that. So in the second hour, we have the opportunity to call in live. Farida Bikowe is going to be reading you the studio lines. You should be able to call in, ask your questions straight from the expert is here, and he will be able to answer your questions. Alternatively, if you can't call, you can go to our social media platform, Facebook page, The Alternative Uganda, put in your question, put in a comment, we shall be able to read it, and the expert as well will be able to respond accordingly. My name is Roger Studihabwe, and with Farida and Mr. Andrew Ssenyonjo are here to be talking about that. Before we went to the break, we had a little issue that he wanted to address. He will begin from that, and I want us to also talk about the SMEs, small and medium enterprises. They are not really succeeding in Uganda, and it's a young country. It's comprised of young people being the majority. So if the business world is not thriving, it also means that we are the ones who are affected. There are those that the mostly are unemployed, and you know the impact is really felt by us. So after you answer that, we would also be a little bit into how to make it thrive. How should people, you know, make sure that their businesses actually celebrate many more years, because most of them in Uganda die at 5 months. Yes.
Thank you. Before we left, she had said that the employee
Just
might
gives
be
you
tempted,
roles. No.
might be tempted to go beyond their area of jurisdiction, and they get fired. And they are not being limited on the tools and how they are supposed to do the job. And I wanted to say that it is the same lawyers who, in their legal explanation of who an employee is, it's based on the idea that who has control over the way the job gets done. And if the employer has more control over
how the job should be done,
then including controlling tools, controlling the time, controlling what you do, the number of things that the individual who is employing you should be able to control. So when an organization is striving to buy you a laptop, it's not that you can't afford yours, even when you're working home, but it is its responsibility. If you can say, I didn't have the tools to work, and the employer cannot say, but it's your responsibility to have, if I'm your employer, I should buy you the
those
tools.
materials.
So there is a certain limitation on which an employee can really choose which tools or what they do. As I have said, I'm sharing a mindset, something, because I believe that entrepreneurship is more of a mindset or an attitude than what people do.
The traditional, conventional way of doing
yes.
things.
When you define an entrepreneur, people are going to start to take it as a title. But it is a mindset. You can, when you say it is an attitude, you can define an entrepreneur by looking at them, not by them telling you I'm an entrepreneur. So when we talk about entrepreneurship and the fact that you are a service provider, you think in terms of what am I selling? And then you know that
and
the organization
what am I getting?
And yes,
they go together.
And then if you're selling, that means the other person is your customer.
Yes.
And who is the customer? Is your employer. The employer can be an individual, it can be the organization. It's your customer. So then the customer is hiring you to provide certain services. Even though they may not describe them as services, on your own, if you need to go deeper and define what services are they actually consuming and actually paying for. Because sometimes these things change without employees being aware that your services, the demand for your services or what you're doing is actually changing. If you just rely on telling me what to do, you just wake up one morning and say, you know what, we no longer
need your services.
Yes, they use that term. You no longer need your services. So
because some other person can do
and
the same thing.
Either they have merged, either they
no, but it's also
technology.
It's also possible that will come because they have not defined the scope very well. You work and then you find yourself overdoing, stepping into the workspace of another person. And the other person will probably lose relevance. And before you know it, they are telling you, thank you for your service. I think we no longer need this. And before you know it, you're actually losing the job because someone is actually adding more value.
But here, one thing that employees haven't taken that step to being so creative so that they could keep their jobs.
Because of the other, when you believe that you are a slave, everything you do, you feel you are enriching your master, and there is nothing for you as well. That's why we started from there.
Bwebukera kumacha ne bakuwa omulimu ne bakustatingira roles and responsibilities in the company zoyina okola. Okay, let's say bakulese nga omulimu gwo wali ku fundraisinga no ngamba, you see, I will need a laptop, that's the tool, I will need Wi-Fi, kyosaba kyonna nenchikuwa. Me as an employer, what I expect is those proposals that are up there. Never to just womuntu, never to jitwala wasudira jajitunula mu page esoka to a business. If we do not get the business, when I gave you all what you wanted, then you are not helping me.
Naye employee ono naye ayina ebimusibye. Kubanga bw'oba oli wakola proposal ewangula, waliwo research gwe weetaaga okukola.
Research nkwadde laptop, nkwadde ne internet.
Ekyo si kyekyo ekyetaaga proposal
ewangula. N'obutabo bw'oba obwagala tubugule mu aristotle osome.
Si kyekyokka. Kati proposal bwe ngiraba nga job, not as something I'm solving a deeper problem. ninjiranga mulimo nti do the proposal, once it's done your job is done. Sirangi bwoba wampa omulimo okuwandika proposal. In fact proposal gyolese example nungi. Kubanga the proposal is to persuade, kwe kuleetera omuntu gwe tugiwandikidde okuwulira nga ali confident tuli bantu batuufu okukola ki? Okukolagana naye. Naye bw'okola proposal waliwo ebintu byenzize njiga nti omuntu bw'oba tolina relationship naye obanga takumanya obanga takuwulirangako obanga talina na muntu gw'asobola kubuuza sometimes kimuzibuwalira trust egenda ebuildinga mpola kati proposal gy'oyagala mpandiika omulundi ogusooka ereetera omuntu ono gwe tutayogerangako naye okubeera nga awulira ali confident okukola naffe ate ekyo kiri ku level ndala nti oba oli awo nze ng'employee neetaaga okuba nga mbadde mu network eyo expertise anti kati kyetuli mu kwevaluatinga is we are evaluating whether a whole whether we blame the whole or the person using
the whole.
The whole is a tool. The proposal is simply a tool.
Yes.
It can help you achieve, it may not.
It may not, exactly.
But you can't improve it beyond what it is. I can write the best proposal that exists. Okay?
Yes.
And it may not do the purpose because of many other reasons. Okay? So, employee bw'ompa omulimu n'ompa roles zange n'enzikola zonna n'alibadde nga sirina kyokola kyonnenya naye ate ogenda okwesanga wenkugambidde nti employer ayinza obutayogera naye nga kimunyigiramu yagamba naye mpulira waliwo ekibulawo akola naye waliwo ekitatuuse waliwo ekyo kyesinnaba kuteekako ngalo kiki ekyo kubanga ne organizations zino ziri mu environment ekyuka kati ziri mu environment ekyuka nkuwadde contracting describing do omulimu gwa contract myaka 2 naye emyezi 6 mpulira neetaaga kukyusa strategy kireka market ekyuse kati process y'okuddayo ate tutandika okwogera kati mweno new strategy ono anaaba akola ki roles zijja kuba zitya ono akoma wano so kibeera kizibu ku side eyange akola omulimu tyompadde roles nezikyuka ku level waggulu strategy ekyuse mugenda mukyusa ebintu naye wano wansi nekisigala nga kiri bwe kityo nze nensigala nga nkola roles zange bwe wazimba naye ng'owulira mbatwala walala nnyo kuwa gyoyagala koleki tulage so kyova olabanga perspective eno ey'okugamba nti I have described the job kyendabye nti guno omulimu gw'odescribing nze bwe guba nga gugenda guli relevant nga kyekyo kyennyini ky'odescribing nze eyo document mugigenda giconsultinga throughout the contract. In fact employee bw'anaawulira nga awuliramu obuzibu ne supervisor wajja kuddayo mu job description asomemu eki kyesikoze naye job description olugikuwa n'osayininga contract bwoti muddamu gireviewinga nga renewinga contract kakati kino kyekidescribinga job omulimu gwenkuwadde tulina okuddayo ne tulaba naye are you doing the right job so bwebanga document eno nzibu ezibuwadde okudesigninga then let's describe the problem because once you set me against your challenge then
because now if I describe the problem you will still come to me and say now what do you want me to do
anti kati yeno jani gye tutandise okukola nti employment ebadde eyina engeri gye tugirabamu ngambe ekyokukola nkikola onsasule naye kati ogenda okulaba eno wansi downtown ngambe ekyokukola will be a simple thing as do this buntu bwangu awo nkusasula ogende naye bwe twambukako mu organizations ezewaggulu ngambe ekyokukola onsasule ekyo ekyenkugamba okukola nange oluusi siri sure oba kigenda kukola in the next 2 months. Kati bwe tukiwandiikira contract for 2 years ne tugenda ng'ebintu bikyuka, kitegeeza nti ngenda kuba nga sisobola kuba employees balina amaanyi, waliwo ebintu byetasobola kutandika kukyusakyusa, simanya kukola ki. If somebody decided to go to the legal, to the lawyers, ng'alina case. So kyetuva tugamba nti kubanga ndowooza describing a job is not doesn't have a legal, I can describe a job.
It has no legal input.
So nsobola okunnyonnyola nti this is kino kyengezaako okukola, this is my pain point. Okay? And so from the employer's side, the journey that the employer needs to make is to know that they are hiring an expert.
So kati instead abantu announcing job problems, job statement, I mean problem statements, instead of people bringing applications, they bring solutions.
This is how I plan.
They come up with proposals of how to solve the problem you stated.
Because when the problem keeps changing, nange chinyangwira okukyuka, because you set me against your problem. You set me against your problem.
And I think the good thing with that is that it's not limiting.
Yes.
Job description is so that you're working in the confines of the scope of the job description. So it means there's nothing much or less. But a problem statement, maybe you can apply any kind of creativity, new ideas to be able to solve problems. I think that's a good approach.
At also, chijidde ku level where employees are demanding for autonomy. Autonomy mu Luganda twaligambye okumpa eddembe oba okuba nti nsobola okukyuzinga engeri gye nkolamu omulimu guno. That means methods. Ojja kusanga organization ng'egamba bwe tuti bwe tukola kino, bwe tuti bwe tukola kino. Naye kati nze ontaddewo ompadde methods nti bwoti bwe tukikola, naye tekiwa results, naye omeasuringira ku results kyokka nkozesa methods zo. Kati nze ndi tied.
Share ideas.
Kati olaba.
Are you limited not to sharing ideas?
Kati olaba, nali njogerako n'omusomesa n'agamba ffe bwe tuba tuwa omulimu, waliwo timetable, waliwo ne syllabus gy'osomesa, kati ngisomesezza mmaze. Kati omuyizi okugwa lwaki
blaminga kugwe because gwe in that syllabus wakola scheme of work n'omanya by'osomesezza bigenda kuyamba student ono okuyita. Gwe buli lunaku okola lesson plan, no planning a lesson yo, the methods you use in your lesson plan siza head teacher gwazi azigira, the tools you are going to use in your lesson, zizo, it's you who develops them, it's not the head teacher or the DOS. So if the students fail, I blame you because you developed the methods and the tools and you do the scheme of work, and now the students failed. It is not my problem.
But it is also the director.
About the ability of the student.
And the director also sets the syllabus. Give me the opportunity to say that this is what I am going to teach my
As
students.
you go to class today, the next day you will know the kind of students you are dealing with, so your methods keep changing and the tools.
What about the ability? Batelango tubuuza nti gwe wafunye 5 leero yafunye 8 lwaki siggwe? So waliwo ability mwatula mu kirasi y'emu. So kati olaba nti olw'okuba blame ejja ku musomesa, then omusomesa figuring out other methods to make the student pass. Kubanga amanyi ye result gy'omumeasuringirako, tomumeasuringira ku methods. Choose your method, nze njagala wali
Success.
Kati awo bw'obanga organization gy'oyingiddemu esetinze methods zaayo yalibadde tekublaminga ku results. Naye bw'eba ekuwa ebbeetu kyenkugamba nti employees are demanding for more autonomy kubanga ogenda okulanga bakumeasuringira the targets, the results of your targets. But you're confined to a certain approach. You can't go outside it, even when you feel there is more to explore. So when the employee is asking for more autonomy to be creative, And when the employer is asking for more self-drive, the answer is entrepreneurship. Because then we are helping the organization learn how to define their pain and set the person who is entering, or look at the person who is entering as the expert, who is coming to solve that challenge or to make sure that they lessen that pain. And once that expert has been set, their mind has been set towards a problem, then they are figuring out solutions.
Yeah.
Then we can figure out the details of how this happens in the current framework of the legal side and all these other things.
Okay, before we go to his topic of the SMEs, you could really tell us how can an employee define success at the job work, like
the workplace.
How can I say I'm being successful? Can I just define it because banyongeza omusala, and then I am like, I think bien kola jebiri banyongeza omusala, because employer akwongeza omusala nga toyina kyokola naye abaako ekikyamu. It means ayina kyakulabyemu n'agamba kituufu omwana ono akola n'akwongezayo akasaala. So should we define success basing on the fat salaries that we are given?
I don't want to standardize success. It would be dangerous to say this is the standard. Because success is a more personal thing. Bwe nali nakayingira obusomesa omanyi bw'ofuna omusaala ogwo ogusooka, the first you feel like this is the world, this is the world. Kati success yange yali successful, kakati nsobola okuchuzinga ki ekyokukola, where I stay, what. Naye after some time ogenda okulaba nti kimala. Kati ng'ate oyagala probably bakwongeze ku musaala oba okule mu roles. Kati success agala gistandardizing, naye kyenjagala ogyogerako nti whatever you are pursuing at your workplace, I'd feel that for you to feel that you're successful is to nga bw'olaba business nti bwe mba nina business naye ng'abantu first of all banzikiririzaamu, they believe in my potential. That means the sky is the limit for me. As long as the people I am serving believe in me, I feel I have succeeded because I exist to make an impact here. But another person may not be at that level of kind of success. Ngeyo sijanoonya ng'akyali ku level eya njagala musaala, njagala promotion, njagala ki. Naye abantu batuuka akaseera n'aba nga ayagala impact. Njagala mbeere my name, so kirimu levels. I don't want to standardize success.
Oyogedde kwali n'ogamba nti oli boss wo yafuuka mukwano gwo, so in the long run n'obeera nga tokyali manager n'ofuuka eri mu inner circle. Do you really believe nti omuntu alina, because kyoyogedde kigenda pushing abakozi nga bakola to entice the boss?
By the way, let me make this when I share these ideas, I know different people may perceive them differently. For an organization that still holds or seeks to control their employees and what they do, may feel threatened by an empowered, not necessarily
employee,
an employee who is there to solve your problem, who wants to make things happen. They may be threatened by that kind of employee, and this idea may not sound as pleasing as it might, but the potential in employees that we are actually seeking is in them figuring out, how do I be of service to this organization?
Yes.
So there's a question you asked.
abakozi bagenda tandika okukola nga
yes
looking to entice the boss to njagala boss anjagale.
Bisobola okuyingiramu politics w'oku mulimu where people are not actually achieving results because the boss is values ze teziri rooted in results but more of the who is the favorite, who is the so bwebanga ebigenda tebikyali
buli omu alwana kubeera favorite wa boss
akasooka tugenda okwesanga tewali ki so bino ebintu bye tuyigiriza omuntu bw'abanga tukoze jobbpreneur nayingira mu organization nga values za oba boss we byayagala tebitwala kitongole mu maaso nga ne jobbpreneur eno talina a strong value system egamba naye kino si kituufu kijja mwanguyira nnyo okugenda ne boss kyayagala ekitatwala ki organization mu maaso.
Ngenda yitako wano mu questions katono nnyo Teresa agamba how can a good working relationship affect the execution of roles at work?
Ekisooka employee ajja kubeera nga manyi bingi nnyo ebigenda mu maaso boss gy'atatunudde eyo kati wali agadde okuba nti eyo gy'otali still the employee can still fight for your organization bw'afuluma organization yo nga bagyogerako bubi can they fight for your organization? You want to control, to have not control to have influence over them beyond the workplace even in their private space. So a good working relationship goes beyond nti kukoledde kino kyoyagala during the day.
Yes.
But it also fortifies the organization. Tineyo gyoli osanga omukozi agamba mu ekitongole ekyo temukimanyi nze nkikolamu naye kati eyo energy tesobola kujja nga waliwo bad relationship. Also nekuside employer decisions ajja okukola towards the employees zijja kubanga ziri kind of limiting nga tezigenda beyond teekayo tugamba tukole kino nekino nekino tusigalaawo naye ng'eriyo bingi a human relationship can achieve beyond what they
ngera mmalayo ebibuuzo bya Teresa mulundi gumagamba how can a good eyo ngisomye what defines the success of a good business proposal?
No, that is serious.
First of all, proposals are in the business of persuasion. Even though you may Google and you have like an outline, the details of what goes in there varies from depending on the person you're writing to. We can make this complicated, but people make proposals every day.
Yes.
Marriage proposals. What is the characteristics?
That's all about marriage proposals. Omuwala za walking away nagano kwataka weta.
What are the characteristics
approach?
Osanga approach. Onsanze wali mu bitala oyimirize emmotoka ngu you want to be unique.
I am
just walk away.
What are the characteristics? You should understand this person. You should know the timing you're writing. There are so many other aspects. So
Nacha University agamba how relevant is Ugandan education system in as far as employment skills empowerment is concerned?
We're coming to that. But you can address it right away.
I may not comment on the technical skills.
You are a teacher, you know what you teach the students,
yes.
And now you are a success tutor, you know what is in the field.
The
give us the connection
of those skills to the job employment.
Actually, employers complain. Experience, 3 experience, how much experience, and I hear graduates have been babadde bayomba nnyo
because they have been marginalized.
Experience tugijjewa twagala
twakava mu university
naye jjukira omuntu ono addukanya ekitongole takola charity
ako kali person
otulangire kituufu tugende maaso.
People need to be jobbpreneurs because you don't focus on emotions. I enter a work relationship knowing now inakyojagalamu. And if I don't offer it, I am out. Temuli emotions into wakati nedda. It is based on kino kyenjagala onkolere kimpe nange you have the right to demand. Nange nfunemu. So tekirimu emotions. So skills is education. My honest opinion is that the problem of education is not the what, it is the how it is being taught.
But we are being taught the what.
And
We are not being taught the how.
We are focusing on the what.
And most of the what is even old-fashioned. It's even out of time.
Wait,
exactly.
no, wait. That old-fashioned is still important.
To some extent, not entirely.
Not entirely,
because as we move generations, the market needs change. So
the
if we are in that traditional setting, how does that
now
work?
let me, if you're manufacturing a phone, for example, a phone, okay, you have a process that leads to a phone, not so?
Yes.
And when the phone is produced, you know its capabilities and its limitations.
Yeah,
okay?
Yes.
There are things it can't do. Okay? Now, this is exactly how the education, when I say the what, it is preparing somebody to fit exactly in a certain role. This is when we are teaching you to be a teacher, you need to learn psychology, learn how to develop a teaching, a lesson plan, all those, the process. And after you have exited the education system, you must fit exactly, just like a screw, you must fit exactly at a certain point. And when I say how, is we don't appeal to things like ambition. If you taught me and the way you teach a teacher is not the way you teach somebody who you want to start a school. You teach me all these things, but you also help me develop my ambition towards a bigger dream or wanting more, driving myself. So there is no ambition in the education system. So people learn this knowledge and they find that they can't convert it. Not apply it, convert it into something usable. When I was developing the entrepreneurship, I had to go back and read the history of the workplace. The things that we think are outdated, because our history defines what we do today.
That's right.
So if I was taught how to maybe solve a problem in the teaching area, and I find that for me to solve this, I need to be a teacher, then let me go and teach. But if I find that me solving the challenges around the education system is to start an organization, I'll start one. So develop an ambition in the how am I being taught? They might be the same things, but they are different.
I want to agree with the how, but personally, the what is still, I have some question marks on that. Because you remember how we were talking about the job description?
Yes.
Because you are defining the context within which this individual is going to work. It means that
the what we want you to do.
The achievement is going to be limited.
Yes.
Because in that direction, there's a gap you just want to fit in, and that is it. And chances are, with time, that gap is going to close up. Exactly. So with the needs moving forward, I feel like the education system should also be, the what should also be structured to be able to move with time, to know the needs of every generation as it comes.
It becomes difficult because, you know, when the skills in the market change, a human being is not like a robot that you're going to just, or a software that you're going to press updates and all of a sudden it can have new capabilities. There is a process. So if you train me as to be more like a robot, I am supposed to fit there. And if this field changes, I don't have any options. I want you to appeal to my ambition and say, you know what, I'm not teaching you to go and teach. I'm teaching you to go and solve problems in the education system. But teaching is one of the ways.
That's right.
So then the how is changing. They are the same things you're teaching me, but the kind of orientation you're giving me is focusing me to keep reinventing myself. Once the field changes, I keep changing because I'm here to solve a problem. If this problem is solved, I'll figure out which other problem I need to solve.
Okay, another question is, for how long do you advise an employee to stay on the job before starting his or her own job or business?
How long? That is very exact. Really, when I talk about entrepreneurship, I want to encourage people. And that's why I assert that the job is the enterprise. The enterprise. You are in the business of selling your skills and knowledge. And figure out who needs them, figure out what you can develop with them, and go and sell it. If you develop services that fit within a job setting, you'll find yourself in a job. If you develop services that fit into a separate organization, then you're going to start an organization. So people can leave if they want, but I'm looking at, if it is the enterprise, that same question, if I rephrased it, I would ask you, when should I leave my business and start something different? If it's not working for you, if it is making you losses.
You might be in your business, but you are not developing. It is just there.
And it should be a personal decision. Okay?
So you choose to
because
close
if the
it
job
down
is the
and
enterprise,
go and get employed.
If the job is the enterprise, you don't walk away from your customers unless you figure out that that relationship is not working or is not giving you returns.
Okay. How better do you think an employee can be motivated, or what are the common employment breakup causes?
Employment breakup. Motivation. The whole program so far is about employee motivation, if people didn't realize. There is this traditional way of motivating employees that I often call exciting. Say it is a brief kind of, let's do this. Then people are excited for 1 or 2 days, then they are back to their own self. And organizations are actually in that circle of what should we do? Then they do this. What should we do? People are excited for a week and that's it.
Yes.
But you want somebody to be so motivated that they drive themselves. And that's why the whole entrepreneurship idea comes into play, because now we want to help the individual who is doing the job to see it as their own enterprise. And they are dealing with their organization as a client. And so this relationship keeps evolving and working. So you're no longer trying to figure out, because motivating a person is difficult.
Yes.
If I ask you to motivate me now, what are you going to do?
Motivate you in what direction? It depends. Motivate you in what
There's a motivation I can't do.
If I ask you, motivate me now, what are you going to do? Motivating a person is difficult, but give them a purpose, give them something to fight for.
Yes.
And you'll never need to motivate them again.
Okay, many organizations have collapsed because the wife to the boss is jealousy about some female workers and vice versa. How can such conflicts be solved for the betterment of the organization?
I know if you are an employer, there are many decisions that employers make. And remember, the SMEs that don't see their first or birthday and the fourth. And when you are an employer, there are so many decisions that you can make that can destroy your own organization. And many of these are an example like that. If you hire somebody who you can't fire,
Is there someone someone cannot fire?
As I said, if we start to look at organizations without emotions, then you're going to achieve much. Because now we are going to get sentimental around the idea that I should be working and making sure I'm delivering value. But if you hire somebody who, if you fired, you're going to sit at home in a meeting that is threatening a family or is threatening your existence in the clan,
That's right, that's true.
that person is going to become difficult in the organization. They are going to start making changes that are not professional, that don't support the organization, because sometimes they are disorganizing employees who are delivering, but who are holding the company.
Yes.
So, for the sake of the company, if you hire somebody,
Don't hire somebody.
don't hire somebody that if you are fired, they are going to cause you problems. And let's not just emotionalize this. It is simply about I give you, you give me. Beyond that, we have developed simply a human-to-human relationship, but this defines how we work together.
Okay, what is your view on employee and employer management trends today?
Employer and employee management trends. What I'm suggesting is actually a whole new, that I have seen employers looking for, but not well defined. When an employer wants, remember we said, for somebody to qualify to be your employee, you control their tools, their time, their everything, how they work, what they do, when they do it. So management is based on that idea that I control you, and in that arrangement, the employee is actually giving you time. The employee says, I have given you my time, fill it with work. If you don't fill it with work, I still demand for pay. I still demand at the end of the month, whether you have given me work or not, as long as we have a contract, I'll demand
for pay.
So it is up to the employer to make sure that that time is filled with work, with all these systems that exist. So traditional employee management is based on that idea. Now, when we come to the 21st century and then you feel that employers are starting to demand new things that don't support this framework of I am in control of the employee. Because the employer would say, my employees are not self-driven. Self-drive in itself means that I do certain things outside what you have like endorsed. But for as long as they are within the context of what we do, our values, but deliver results. That means you're pushing me outside your control. You're pushing me outside something you can control. So then that means management trends should be evolving to make sure they accommodate this self-drive people are talking about, creativity. An employee is not hired to create. They are hired to do traditionally. Tell me what to do, I'll do it. Figure it out. But then when you start demand for abilities like creativity, critical thinking, you're pushing me in a side that you can't control. Okay? And so when I talk about management trends, then employers are demand or they are searching for a way to deal with employees who they don't have to always look over their shoulder to do, which is quite a field that many employers are fearing to enter. Because if you set the employee free, then what are they going to do? Won't they figure out and run away and then all these other issues? So jobpreneurship is preparing the employee for that employers are already demanding, an entrepreneurial mindset in the workplace, something that sets the employer to drive themselves.
Nga bwe tumaliriza ogenda kuba otuwaayo obu challenges butono nnyo bw'ofeesinze mu scope of work gw'okola naye ekibuuzo nsembyayo ekyana kye Unity agamba what is Ssenyonjo's view on the ongoing medical internee industrial action?
think about if an employee is fired, sometimes we think we are firing the individual, but we fire experience, we fire the networks, the relationships that somebody has built that can bring business or that make the job
Some others don't
success.
have networks.
We are firing skill, we are firing mindset, we are firing experience. There is a lot of things that you fire when you tell an individual to work out. And is it something that is that can be built for a bigger, large number of people in a short time? Okay.
Yes.
Or can the new people come in and they run within a week or two and they are running this as it used to run? So,
But
well,
it's also two-way, because as you fire experience, you get experience replacing.
it's there because we are talking about interns. So fairness in everything is key.
That's right.
If the employee sees you being fair, they'll give their all. Okay, so if you put out fairness, people will still be fair.
Okay. As we conclude, we are running out of time. I wanted you to basically talk about the whole idea of the small business world. We are a country of young people, and I think we even among the top countries in the world with the youngest population. We have young people trying to innovate and make businesses that don't last. Every year, about 400,000 people are delivered to the job market to compete for about 90,000 jobs. You can see the ratio. So how do we make it work for these people? How do we make sure that there's enough environment for these small businesses to thrive? Because now the employment world is not really going to work, because the output, the employees' output, like those who are coming in the job market, are more than the jobs that are available. So it's crucial that they make their own jobs, but they are also not surviving. So is it because they don't get enough skills maybe in schools? Is it that the government has not given them favorable environments and policies to make them thrive? What do you think would be the problem, and how do we solve it?
One, entrepreneurship has been undersold. What it takes to build a business. It seems like a glamorous venture or journey until people get into it and they realize, in order to get the trust of the market, I need 2 years. How am I going to feed? How am I going to survive?
Yes.
What is it that I'm going to live on? And those challenges on the individual are the first, because the individual decides when to start and when to stop, when to say this is I'm not continuing this. The second around entrepreneurship, besides being undersold or being over glamorized, is from me as a person who is pro employment, the quality of people who exist in the industry that you're going to hire, what are their motivation? I've heard people say you hire somebody and they steal from you, and if we have standardized or praised that as being smart, then our work ethics are going to bury us, because these small businesses, if they have given somebody a job, and the job they can pay their rent and feed maybe their children, and that can grow if the quality of the skills of the mindsets of the people you're hiring are also pro building these businesses. So you don't want to be fighting for the market, and yet also you're fighting that people don't steal from you, or they don't innovate within or support you to build this organization. But also, you talked about the skills from
the schools and institutions of learning.
What I believe is that what every individual has is the ability to do something.
That's right.
The ability, whether they went to school or not, they have something they can do. Okay? And when we figure out who can pay for what we can do, then everybody can go into the service area, the service space. The whole challenge discussion we've been having of the how of the education system is, if you teach me knowledge and you teach it in a rigged way, this is where you're going to apply it, and you don't give me a broader view that you can use this to solve as many challenges in the community as possible. We all start from there. I have knowledge, I have skills, so I have built a consultants around it. And so I go out and tell people that, I have some knowledge that can transform your organization. So it could be that is the direction probably we need to take. As entrepreneurs come from there, from the area of seeing that my skills are my first source of capital or business, and I need to monetize them and figure out how can I monetize the skills I have. Maybe these small industries will be relating with people who can build them, but also other areas, I'm not an expert there in business management. I hear the technical sides or marketing and all those things. I think that's an area for somebody else.
Okay, either way you have highlighted on the fact, except I also feel like the government has a role to play, because in a country it's also important to understand the people, because they are the people that actually move the country. The country's GDP grows depending on how much people are actually doing. So if they don't produce, if there are not safer environments for them to produce, it means the GDP is not going to increase. And the economy collectively for a country is going to be crumbling. So it's also a role of the government, and I hope that they also look into the fact that our economy is depending solely and majorly on those kind of businesses. So giving them the incentives, maybe if that is the requirement, and prioritizing them, honestly, is so important, because it also benefits all of us in the long run. So I think we are coming close to
the end of the show. Teresa agamba, if I need Ssenyonjo's services, where and how can I get in touch with him?
Andrew Ssenyonjo is my name. I would want to share my contact. The email, I don't know, people see the name, but it's a single S, Ssenyonjo Andrew at Gmail. Or you can contact 0782 53 11 95. There we can start to talk on how we can work together.
Yeah. See, the good thing with being innovative, consumers are everywhere.
Your parting shot, singa tumaliza show.
And also, what do you do apart from jobpreneurship and ignites potential?
I am a curriculum designer. That is my private work, people do not see. I know it is.
Mama developing zino curriculum ezitaina nnyo kyamakulu.
Ezituyombya buli lunaku.
Ezitaina nnyo kyamakulu.
Zange endala zange si za government.
Kaono. Awo tuwonye.
Like entrepreneurship, it is a 46-hour course. I know this discussion about entrepreneurship and how the workplace has changed can go deeper and sometimes feels it is threatening certain interests.
Yes.
But deeply, it is what organizations are actually looking for. And my desire is if we can engage in these discussions more often, and see how can we move from traditional management where we control employees to an area where employee potential can explode. Thank you.
All right, that is Mr. Andrew Ssenyonjo, and for those who need him, he just mentioned his number and his email. You can reach him out. I think he also has
also on social media.
Yeah, handles.
LinkedIn,
you can.
Ssenyonjo Andrew.
Same names, Ssenyonjo Andrew. You can get in touch with him and receive the gift. You know, you want to thrive. The business has to thrive. You need his services. That has been him. He also said, for one takeaway from me as an individual is employers should start making problem statements instead of job descriptions. Because other than that, the things of confining people into one straight thing, rigid things of doing work, is training, and it trains the company in the wrong run. So it's my takeaway as an individual. I hope you also got yours. At the end of the day, what we want is to make sure that we thrive as individuals and also as companies. We have Farida Bikobere. She's going to be closing it. She'll give her closing remarks. My name is Rogers Tuyabo. Thank you so much for being with us. I'll see you again next time.
I was meant to give you a quote of the day, but I decided to keep it. The topic jetukutte ebadde eba motivating throughout, so I will not. It is enough motivation for the day, so I will not motivate you. Nkoze n'omukyala Musimenta Anita ku kamera, omwami Desire amuyambyeko awo, ate mu control room waliyo Jeremiah Mukibi koja wana Kibinge ne muganda wange mwannyinazi omulungi Mukose Arnold Anthony ne Baby Snaptalk Teddy Tenjo Nabukera tusinkana olunaku olw'enkya nga tulina Tamale Mirundi Junior waneene essaawa ebeeremu ey'okumakya. See you, have a good day.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.